This is my Mercedes 1983 240D. It's 4-cylinder diesel. I had some problems with the fuel, so I'm working on the fuel feed pump. I guess it's also called the lift pump. There's the engine compartment, and right here is the injection pump, and the feed pump bolts on right down in here. Well, it's November 12th, and it's nice and warm today, but yesterday it was a bit cold and it clouded my judgment a bit. I took the lift pump off without draining the oil in the engine. I wasn't thinking. And of course, the oil in the engine came oozing out when I loosened it, so I kind of propped it back in, put a nut on it to hold it, quickly got under the car and had to drain the oil. So it's my warning to you. If you're going to mess with the lift pump, take it off. Drain the engine oil first. I had problems with the car, and there's a little pump on, this is the lift pump. There's a little hand pump that fits on the pump, and I pressed it and nothing happened. It wasn't pumping fuel. So I had read that biodiesel sometimes destroyed these, so I went and bought one of these fancy pumps. They're beautiful. Let me show you. I mean, is that beautiful or what? I mean, seriously, that's a very nice nice piece of metal. And it cost me a good deal of money, but 30 bucks, not bad. But as it turned out, when I put the pump on, it also didn't pump. So I figured I had a problem. I'd never taken one of these apart before. Looked for a diagram on the web and found it. And let me show you kind of how the thing works. And what I discovered. Feed the fine filter, the secondary filter. That goes by a Banjo bolt into that filter. You know what I'm talking about. It's the hard thick line. And if you take that off, oops, take that off, what you discover is, and notice the copper seal there, you don't want to lose that. There's a spring and a plunger like inside, and what that does, it's a spring-loaded check valve. So you put it in there, and fuel pushing in the body pushes the valve up and lets it go, but it won't let it come back. Now, on the other side, on the intake where your where is it? This part is. That goes to your, through a little piece of tubing, goes to your primary filter. Okay, it has to work backwards, so its valve is located underneath, and it's the same little rig, little plunger, spring-loaded plunger, and it fits in the bottom through the, you can't see it from when you're looking at the engine, but there's a 19 millimeter put a 19 millimeter wrench on that and it comes off. And so the fuel comes in here, finds that that plunger. When you push on the pump, it's just a cylinder with a seal, and you suck in fuel, opens the little valve here, sucks it in, puts it in a chamber, and then when you release, or when you do this way, it sucks it in, then when you push, it pushes it out through the other check valve, and the fuel can only go one way. I think it's pretty neat, and it gives me ideas for building one of these, which would be completely in the line. Now, this also is the engine's pump, so this thing gets pushed on by a cam in the engine, and uses the same valves, I believe, to power feed the fuel in to your engine. So that's going all the time as the engine runs. I got a little bit of fuel here, hold on. Boy, I tell you, I don't have my gloves on here, but you have to wear your gloves when you work on this. I got diesel everywhere. So why wouldn't the thing work? I'm just taking it apart. Well, this was all gummed up with some kind of a goo. All the in here, see, it's got a little spring fits in there, and the plunger fits down. It's got a little thing, and it was so gummed up with goo that these valves were stuck, and they weren't acting. So I cleaned it, soaked it overnight in carburetor cleaner. This part is plastic, so I didn't soak that, but I soaked this part, and of course the spring cleaned up pretty nice. And now they work fairly well. They're still a tad sticky. I did assemble the pump and hand pumped fuel through it, which was kind of neat, to make sure it was operating. And when I'm putting in the bottom piece, this is the upstream valve, I guess, check valve nut assembly, and I've already put the downstream one in. I'll take them over the vise and tighten them. You have to leave this part off, put the pump back on. It bolts on here and here and here, and it's rather hard to get those little teeny bolts on the engine. The studs are in the engine, so you got to leave some components off and mount them once you got it back on the engine. So I can't put this on or the pump until I do that. Okay. There's the pump in place. I don't have any of the hoses hooked up to it. I'm holding a mirror in the sun to give light here, but let me point to where it is. It's right there. And there's your final filter. Here's your fuel lines coming in. This is the shock absorber on the left side of the car. So you got an idea where you're looking? Oh yeah. And that's the injection pump right there. I was going to get lazy here and not change the oil filter, but what the hell, life's too short to take shortcuts. So here's this ugly top to the oil filter. Now I gotta yank the damn thing out and stick this in. Yuck. Don't forget to put the oil back in. I've got everything in place. As you can see, perhaps right there, I've plugged the fuel line coming from the fuel tank that normally would hook up here through the primary filter. And the reason I did that is I'm not going to hook the engine immediately to start it to the fuel tank, but I'm going to use this old lawnmower tank, which I scavenged. Of course, it's got the fuel feed on the bottom, and then I drilled and tapped for a little L connector here that will handle the return line off the diesel engine. And I'm going to put them in to feed the pump, and put some nice clean diesel in there and mix it with some other cleaners and stuff to start the engine, because I've got to turn this baby around and take a look at the tank, because all this stuff got dirty from somewhere, so I suspect the tank is dirty, so I'm going to have to turn the car around, put it up on ramps in the back so I can get underneath and look at it. I mean, why pump all that dirty fuel through all this nice clean work I've done? Oh well. But you've got to move the car, which means you got to start the engine. That's where this baby comes in. And you know, it's real handy if you go and you're worried about your fuel to have one of these handy in your trunk. Because if your fuel line or something gets messed up, you can just put it in line and fill it up and off you go. As you can see, I've got the little temporary old lawnmower tank wired in place to hold it in place. The fuel line, feed line comes out the bottom, and here's the return line. And I've run it like this before. It should work. So let's give it a try and see what happens. Now, I could swear it's running better already. I just make sure I'm not dripping anywhere. I check underneath and then get ready to turn it around. Well, I can't tell you how much fun I'm having. Oh boy.